that we are looking at is definitely the cement space, which has been in focus in the past 2 days odd. We've had two brokerages which have spoken positively on the likes of Ambuja Cement. For example, Nomura upgraded the stock to buy with the target price raised to 780 odd rupees. We've got Motilal today, which upgraded ACC and Ambuja to buy versus neutral earlier. So let's talk a little more about the cement space, and let's focus on the cement space now. The brokerages are sounding bullish. We have with us one of the analysts, Mangesh Bhadang, who is the Senior Vice President in Research at Centrum Broking, joining in with his call on the sector. Mahesh, hi, welcome to the show. Well, let's start with your overall preference in the cement space. What are you liking at this point in time? What do you think will report well in terms of the Q1 numbers? And what might your dislikes be?
Hi, good afternoon, and thanks for having me. So in terms of preference in large caps, we prefer Ambuja over Ultratech and Shree. And in small caps, we like Birla Corp and Nivoco right now. So in the mid cap space, we don't have a decent buy opportunity right now, but we do see alpha generating generation in both Birla Corp as well as Nivoco from these levels. In terms of Q1 earnings, obviously Q1 earnings are going to be impacted by weak realization. So cement pricing has been weak in this quarter, and it is expected to remain the same, in this current quarter as well. That is second Q. So the recovery in earnings is expected only, say, third quarter onwards, when we are expecting demand to also improve. But in the meanwhile, the stocks are actually looking at consolidation and other themes, and which is actually taking it higher. So I think that should remain, and we would still, within the space, I think Ambuja is the one we would play it.
Mangesh, good afternoon. Thank you for joining in. There's been a lot of hectic activity within the cement space. It comes to consolidation. Both the top two players have been on the prowl recently. Ultratech making that investment in India Cements recently. Ambuja having acquired Sanghi before, and then Penna Cements as well. Do you expect that this consolidation within the sector is likely to continue going forward as well? And which is that particular area do you believe that we should be next in line? Because there is a lot of these southern-based cement companies that are potential acquisition targets, say the likes of KCP or Orient Cement. What's your call there?
Yeah, so the consolidation phase will continue. So, all this while Ultratech had a free hand, to be honest. So, there was no large competitor for them. Even if you look at their capacity, they were at, even as on FY24, they are at 140 million tons, and the next best was only at 67 million tons. But with entry of Adani, I think they have a very aggressive player who's come into the market, and he would look at, various weak hands which are there in the system, with leverage or with promoters who have other businesses to run, and probably find cement not that attractive. So in a commodity, I think higher market share is what generally companies or the better companies strive for. And that's why I think consolidation phase will continue. But that also brings in the competition angle along with it. So competition is also expected to remain on the higher side. And with regards to acquisition targets, I think one should look at companies with EV per metric ton, which is less than, say, $80 to $90. I think they would all, and then the ones which have relatively higher leverage or promoters have other businesses, and I think those would give you those numbers. But beyond that, I think very difficult to take names of the companies which would be the targets.
Okay. What has pricing been like? Hasn't it been quite weak? And what is your expectation in terms of the rest of the fiscal?
So cement pricing has been weak. So for the past 9 months, in fact, so from the last peak, we have seen consistent decline in cement pricing. And what has happened is, even whatever the attempts that companies made to increase prices, they have all been pulled back. So we are expecting that pricing should remain weak because, because of the competition for market share and large amount of capacity is being put up by these players. And the outlook, at least for the second half or the first half, is that the pricing should remain at the same level, and possibility of increase, say, in third quarter onwards.
And since you mentioned, Mangesh, enterprise value per ton is something you should look at before looking out, zeroing in on those potential acquisition targets. I'd give you the two names, India Cements and Orient Cements. They are the ones that have been in focus, because of the Ultratech investment, of course, and the other one also in anticipation, because Orient Cement also had this period of outperformance once this Ultratech India Cements deal was done. What do you think is the fair value in terms of enterprise value per ton for both of these companies? And also on that, a word on that acquisition as well. Do you think that the investment that UltraTech made in India Cements was at a fair value?
Yeah, so now the companies would look, beyond the existing value. Probably they would look at what kind of value they can generate from that asset. And definitely UltraTech might be seeing that they would be able to generate. And obviously it will give them a very large foothold in the market and the ability to, the control supply as well as, the pricing in the market. So in that respect, I think India Cement acquisition was good, but this is just a, a non-controlling stake that they have purchased right now. So the valuation will depend on, the actual value that they pay or the actual amount that they pay on the entire acquisition or the acquisition of the controlling stake. So we don't have a clear outlook on it right now. The second thing is that in case of Orient, it's also same. I think Orient still trades at around $70 or lower, and this is where we feel that possibility is there that they can fetch a slightly higher value from this from these levels.
Okay. All right. Just wanted a sense in terms of growth then. In terms of demand, what would you be factoring in for FY25 and which company do you think will probably be leading?
So for FY25, we are penciling in 5.5% kind of a growth. And that is because first half, the demand is expected to be weak because of elections. And we are expecting the recovery from second half onwards. Within that, I think Ambuja would be the leader because we are expecting Penna deal to be closed and that should drive volume along with ramp up of Sanghi. And the second one would be UltraTech because there also Kesoram acquisition is expected to be completed soon and that should also drive some more volume growth for them. But in terms of, say, if I have to take a 2 to 3 year call, I think Ambuja would still outdo the rest of the pack, given the possibility of acquisition targets and the organic acquisition, the organic expansion they are doing.
One final question, Mangesh, very quickly. The top two players have been very aggressive when it comes to expanding their capacity via inorganic growth. What does that do to the mid-size players? Now, say for the likes of, say, Shree Cement, I can't really call it a mid-size player, but a Shree Cement or a JK Lakshmi, what does that do to them? Because even they now might be trying to scamper for boosting their capacity as well through this inorganic acquisition mode.
Yes, so I think this is largely a seller's market, to be honest. So cement historically had been a buyer's market where you can pick and choose and actually drill down the valuation and then look at the targets and pick and choose. But now suddenly we have 4 to 5 companies which should look at or which are looking at acquisition candidates. So that's why I said it's a seller's market. And in that case, I think even the smaller companies, they would strive to in fact grow inorganically as well as organically. And then, basically if it comes to bidding, I think, it depends on who would be the winner. But obviously, I think it makes sense for these players, the likes of specifically likes of Shree and others to look at those targets first.
Okay, all right. We're going to leave it on that note. Thanks very much for joining in and giving us your take on the entire cement space, which has been in focus in the past couple of days. We'll take a short break, but up next, we'll focus on stocks that are moving in trade on the back of a lot of news. Stay tuned.